Okay, this is a pork butt, pork shoulder, Boston butt, whatever you want to call it. This is my secret rub I use. It's pretty much 1 part black pepper, 1 part Fiesta brand extra fancy pork rub, 1 part kosher salt, a little bit less kosher salt, then about half as much Montreal steak seasoning. Here in a minute, I'm going to apply a little bit of mustard and rub this pork butt. Just pretty much dump them all in the bowl. Pretty simple. Get a little whisk. I'll whisk it around. Get all the clumps out. That pork rub likes to clump up sometimes. Then I have this old pepper, coarse ground pepper container. It has good sized holes in it. See that? That way when I put it in there, it all comes out. Any kind of mustard. Yellow mustard, spicy brown mustard. I like a little bit of both. Hey, so I'm going to put a little bit of both on there. A spicy brown. Mainly it helps it stick, but mustard will help the meat break down a little bit. That way the rub can soak in pretty good. Clean hand, a dirty hand. And it helps in that. A little bit more mustard on there. You really don't have a mustard flavor. It's more of just to coat it. Kind of makes the rub stick. Plus it also, like I said, helps marinate. So here's the rub. I put it in my little sifter that has the holes in it. And this is what I do. Just kind of sift it on there. There's no exact science to it. Just put a little bit on this. And give it a good little rubbing. Go. See that black pepper in there? By the way, that was coarse ground pepper, not fine grit, not super coarse. This kind of pepper is too coarse, so I don't really use that anymore. I use that tone. I get it at Sam. You get at Walmart. McCormick's makes one. It's not super coarse, but it's not too fine either. So that's pretty much it. That'll be thrown on a pit here. I'm gonna let it rest in the, I'm gonna put it in a bag and then put it in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. 3 or 4 hours. I like to set up for a little bit. At least, you can do it overnight if you want to. But at least 3 or 4 hours. Alright, here it is about 6 hours later. Got the Traeger going around 204 degrees. I'm using apple pellets. Apple pellets here. There they are. Kind of see I'm right around 200 degrees, a little bit over. And there's the 2 pork butts. Beautiful. I put a water pan down there. Just a little skillet with some water in it. That's an amazing tube. That's what you use if you want a little bit more smoke. It's a tube with pellets. I'll explain that later. I don't use it all the time, but I use it for when I'm smoking meats. So I come back about every couple hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I spritz it with some apple cider vinegar. So I'll check back here in a few hours. Probably about an hour and a half. And I'll spray them with some water, some apple cider vinegar, and keep them moist. And check the water pan. So it's been about 2 hours. Yeah. Apple cider vinegar. Alright, here it is. It's about 5.5 hours later. Me putting it on. Now it's time to wrap it. Until it's time to wrap it, you can see how the tops are kind of a little split on it. Nice and caramelized. Looking nice. Wrap them. Usually do a couple layers of foil. Make sure they don't split. And then when I wrap them, I use the rest of my apple cider vinegar, put inside the foil. There we go. Nice and moist. Okay, now they're both wrapped up. Put back on the grill. Doesn't really matter if the water pan's empty because they're going to be wrapped up with apple cider vinegar inside of it. Go ahead and set that temperature to 250. For about 4 or 5 more hours. Total cook time is normally about 10 hours. Alright, here it is. About 5 hours, 5.5 hours after I wrapped them. They're looking pretty good. I like to wrap them and cook them 5 hours. Then after that, I put them in a cooler. And in that cooler, I put a whole bunch of towels on top of it. Keep the heat in there. I do that for at least 2 hours. So total time, start to finish, is about 12 hours. Well, cooking. Because it continues to cook kind of wrapped in the foil. So 5 hours marinating, 5 hours cooked on about 200, 225 for about 5 hours, and then unwrapped, and then you wrap them 5 hours, turn up to 250. Okay, here they are. I'm gonna put the towels on top of them, kind of take up the space of the cooler and keep the heat inside. I want to rest them a good little while in the cooler. That way it kind of soaks back up the moisture as it cools. And then of course, about an hour before I'm ready to serve, I'll take them out, set them on the counter, and we'll go over that here in a little bit. Took the brisket out about 2.5 hours ago, 3 hours ago, and put it in a cooler. Then about an hour ago, I took it out, I set it on the counter. Now I kind of let it for about 30 minutes stay in the foil, and then I open it up, let it kind of breathe, and close it back up. That way it comes down to, cools slowly. It doesn't, if you shred this thing without letting it rest a little bit, it just dries out. It gets so dry, it's unbearable. So here's the finished product. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this bad boy, put him in here. Once he gets in here, I'm gonna shred him up, but I can't touch him just yet because he is hot, hot, hot. But there's the bone. If it does that, look out, it's done. So here we go. Falling apart, juicy. Look at that. That is a good smoked pork butt. So I'll shred it up. At the same time, it looks pretty clean. Sometimes you'll see like a little gland or something in there you might want to pull out, or something that's a little too fatty, like this piece or something. Just throw it off to the side. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm gonna shred it up nice. As you can see, it's got a nice little ring on it, smoke ring. There's a little piece right there. I'm gonna try it. terrible. It's so delicious. Oh, no. All right. That's it. Now, if you want to, you get the leftover juice. Sometimes if it seems a little drier, but this looks pretty moist. I mean, you can see how moist it is. It's a little too dry. You could take some of that. I'll probably pull that out because it's pretty fatty. That's kind of what I'll do is I'll look, and if there's some parts that are too fatty, I just kind of pull them, but for the most part, I keep a lot of it in there. That's it.
You got to have an ace in the hole, a little secret that nobody knows.